There are leaves around, and I know just the tune to accompany them, if you wish to hear it.
You might want to get a guide if you're not familiar with the area. The biggest one in history. You might want to get a guide if you're not familiar with the area. The biggest one in history.
It's been a while since we last saw Neverlet. Paimon has so many questions about his true identity. Let's go talk to him and find out.
Wait, did I hear that right? Monsieur Neverlet, are you sure you'd like to take over the case yourself?
That's right.
No, but why? Technically speaking, cases like this are better left to the guards.
Neverlet! Sidine! Hey there! What are you two talking about?
Ah, Traveler in Paimon, please help me talk our Chief Justice out of this. He wants to investigate a case on his own. Now, this is completely unprecedented.
Thank you for your concern, but I currently have no such plan. Oh, apologies. I took your question in...
So, what is it exactly? Show some...
A Melusi named Kiara received a threat letter.
And then?
That is all the information I have acquired at this stage.
Huh?
I have no idea why you're... I've checked the schedule in advance, and it seems like there aren't any trials today. So, if you
Thank you for understanding. I will leave a note explaining my absence on my desk. I would appreciate it if you could take it to Lady Farina. She may have no interest in official affairs, but standard procedure dictates that I'm still responsible for reporting to her.
Yes, understood. I'll come back later and deliver...
Judging from Sidine's reaction, it must be pretty rare for you to investigate stuff personally.
I cannot tell you just yet, but there could be complicated conflicts of interest behind all.
Come on, stop being so secretive! We still have no
It is not my intention to keep you in the dark, but I need some time to revisit those memories and collect my thoughts. Long story short, a little more than 400 years ago, I became the Eudex. There were few people I could trust, but I had two subordinates who were exceptionally trustworthy and capable. Carol, a Melusine.
They must have been amazing people to receive such high praise from you.
Indeed. The reforms damaged the interests of some. The incident resulted in Carol. All Melusines used to. I granted their wishes when many common folk believe that I share a special bond. Some of them, especially those who hold. I have nothing against the. It has already happened once.
Even so, there's the guards, the Marechaussee Phantom.
Based on prior experience, there is a the political system of Fontaine is relatively However, since I am technically an
Outsider? But aren't you the Chief Justice of Fontaine?
I understand where you are coming from, but there is not necessary. You know very well about my true identity. Even though I was born with a human form, there is a fundamental difference. Taking on the role of Chief Justice does not make me a part of this community. I have lived in Fontaine for a long time.
Yeah, we have nothing to do with all those organizations anyway. Let's team up and round up all the bad guys.
That does not sound like.
Oh, Paimon started.
I will write my note of absence right away. Let us go. We should visit Kiara.
So Neuvillette feels like he doesn't truly belong here in Fontaine, but is that really true? Paimon feels like he has... Paimon's been thinking. You called yourself a... But since you're the Hydro Dragon, would a dragon out of water suit you better?
Thank you for your suggestion. I will consider using the more accurate term in private occasions. Please allow me to rephrase.
Ugh. That sounds kind of weird. Let's stick with the previous version.
In the name of the Prinzessin.
want me on your team? Don't tell me they did it again.
Our bond is strong.
Next on the agenda... We're way behind schedule. Next on the agenda... Stand with me!
Into the wind.
No touching! This is long overdue! Come on! Focus!
As one with wind and cloud, one with nature.
This way! Access denied!
Chivalry will never die. It is as the stars foretold. Shadows of fate! Rain outlines your fate. Witness the power. I can fix this! Decided by destiny. Rain cutter. All hail, born of ice and frost. Healthy body, healthy mind. I'll take good care of everyone.
Let's go get ourselves...
This opportunity is quite hard to come by. Well then, amuse me. Surrender is a valid option. I promise I'll be gentle. You've made some progress. Guess I should take you more seriously.
Here comes the catch.
Come on, focus.
Busted!
You, Glade, you're up.
Into the wind! Fallen leaves, adorn my...
Hey, go away. Not hit.
Access denied.
Gotcha. Things are about to get dicey.
What a dr- One with nature. Clouds high. The birds call.
Didn't see that coming. We're way behind schedule.
You're cut above.
Should we really?
Add Astra. Thank you for complete. Add Astra.
The eye sweeps the lands.
This is long overdue.
Lightning
We're way
falls on
behind
the
schedule.
land of eternity.
My contract goes unfulfilled.
That hurts. This fire is eternal.
You dare overstep your mortal authority?
Busted.
Crumble!
Here comes the catch.
The enraged Earth will not absolve you!
Come on! Focus!
Today, you witness your reckoning! Ah!
Go get him, Uruguay! Don't be scared!
Fisher!
Stay focused.
Stay put!
No touching! Access denied.
The enraged Earth will not absolve you! You stand upon your tomb, though you know it not! Come, experience an eon of suffering!
I'm just way out of practice. No touching. All hail.
Gotcha. Game's up. Time's over. Take it easy.
I will not.
good newspaper should be a lighthouse of truth. A good newspaper should be a lighthouse
Wow! If it isn't the Traveler and Paimon! Oh, have you seen the article I wrote about you?
Ha! You've got some nerve!
Oh, you needn't worry about that. I heard that you were in. It's all right though. I've set aside.
Really?
You're almost.
Oh, Paimon knows you're not like...
Still, what brings you here all of?
When Mona mentioned you, we thought...
I see. So she mentioned me?
She said that you're...
Nice.
Huh? So you...
Oh, of course it doesn't. That was.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh. And that...
Oh, so that's a yes? Ooh, splendid! Oh, whew, so much.
Wait, Charlotte. Paimon's still got a question for you.
Hmm? And what's that?
If... Just for example...
Huh. That's the prophecy you're talking about. If you're seriously asking, from what I've seen, most people don't know what they'd do should the worst come to pass. So in all likelihood, I'd probably still be prepping at the office for that interview of ours. Just think about it. If this nation really were to be suddenly destroyed tomorrow, and then do you know what I'd do? Well, I'd write that story, send it for printing, and use I'm not a dreamer, nor am I a workaholic. But anyway, that's my answer.
That's... so not... Anyway, let's go and take a look at the sea, shall we? The sea breeze and scenery can be a pretty Paimon's been thinking... If it wasn't Fontaine... No, Paimon... We've always been moving to the next You mean... still traveling? Huh. Feels like you'll grow mold if you stay. But it's still better than the Fortress of Mirapede, that's for sure.
Ah, so the two of you are still here. Wonderful.
Oh, you're from the Palais Mermonium.
Yes, I'm Isadora. Monsieur... Not at all. Yes, inside...
A riot?
Well, that said, Lady Farina was watching up, loudly accusing her, and before the crowd continued to grow.
So people have...
I agree.
So what happened after that is...
Seeing that the situation was the Marechaussee fan...
So, you mean...
That's right. The March... That said, I don't think they're good.
Don't worry, this is more...
Is that...
Well, sounds like we should hurry over to Poisson then. If we know Farine, and as Minerva, it would be hard for her. Paimon thinks Farine... Huh! Well, what do you think? In that case, there's not a moment to lose.
Take it easy. Good roll. All right, maybe I'll take one more day off and knock out the rest of the work once I'm feeling up.
This place looks deserted. Guess all the survivors must have evacuated already. All that's left here are signs of devastation. Could Farina really be here? Let's try to find her as soon as possible. That's Farina, right over there.
Should I just give up? What was meant to happen did happen. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Give up. I'm sorry, but what can I even do? Who's that?
Don't worry, Farina. It's just us. Farina, you were crying just now, weren't you? The tear stains on your face are obvious.
What do you mean, tear stains? Oh, I remember. Who did that They even dare. Oh, and I'm sure Nouvellette and those people from the Mark...
Hey, there she is! The Hydro Archon's over there! Quick, after her!
Farina, those people seem to be after you.
They are? They're just some rabid fans who want to cut the line because they haven't been able to meet me in person, aren't they? That's against the rules. I can't let them get their way.
Farina just ran off! Quick, we have to catch up with her! This should be the place, right? Hey, Farina! There's a good hiding spot over here. Quick, come to Paimon before the rest of them catch up to you.
What is this place?
Hurry, they're almost here.
Fine. I suppose haste is warranted.
Paimon's exhausted.
No, I mean, I'm merely
Yep.
What's happening?
Yeah, a quake of this kind preceded the flooding in Poisson, didn't it?
It can't be.
Well, there's no need to worry.
Yeah, but the people of Poisson... It's true. I've been investigating I once had informants all over Teyvat. I've tried all kinds of ways, too, to hold back, but all my efforts proved to be futile. We cannot make an enemy of the divine. No matter what we do, the will of the... Give up. Indeed. I've thought about fate. Is really... But just now... It all... As long as the final moment... Don't worry. Well, that's enough for now. I got the impulse to play the stricken maiden, but honestly, considering my rank and station, that wasn't a good fit at all. Don't take any of...
Come on!
Share my... That's impossible. A witness. And if Teyvat...
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes my opening performance. Now, without further ado...
So, this is... Do not forget, however, that I am Fosalor, the god...
May I interpret these words as your refusal to... In that case, you will have the opportunity to defend your honor through a due...
You would draw your blade against a god? I see. It seems like you have made up your mind.
Paimon can't believe it. She...
What the heck is going on?
Wow, how utterly humiliating.
Lady Farina, what is the meaning of this?
Shh! It would seem that there has been a misunderstanding. To be clear, the rate...
Looking for excuses again, huh?
I raised my hands just now to indicate my acceptance. I will admit that I've been running away for a long... I'm sorry, everyone. I was unable to protect the people of Poisson. You are not the only ones to be But now, it is time for the Hydro Archon to show you her I, Farina, will use this trial to show the world that this time, I will applaud and reach. Mark my words. This shall be one of the most exhilarating and brilliant shows ever to grace the stage of Fontaine. The trial.
Woohoo! Oh, now we're making history.
Why does it feel like Farina just took over the whole thing? Like, come on! Also, even though she's still acting super dramatic...
All right, then. Who will be my opponent?
The court asks the prosecutor to please take the stand.
Is that so? Very well. Then please speak, witness of Tivat. Also, please allow me to ask, as a final question, just how much work did you do to force me onto this
Well, we did do a lot of prep after the meeting that day.
I can go over the tasks assigned to the Spina di Rosula.
Navia, the president...
Most of the people who participated in the disturbance this morning, they changed into plain clothes and came to the Opera House as regular audience members. The people's resentment against their Archon has been building as... Moreover, according to our understanding, we arranged for a second group to lie in...
So, you mean... the ones who scoured the settlement...
And their goal was to force you to step into the giant magic box so you may personally participate in the greatest magic performance...
That's right. That house was a magic box, rather than...
As the super ultimate version of the setup that I used when I first performed at the Opera Epic, the volume of the box was increased by a whole order of magnitude, and the distance it traversed was the entire gap between was an arc. My thanks, Farina. Without your help, we could never have... Of course, this performance was only made possible with Father's support. The House of the Hearth spent a massive amount of labor in Mora to pull this off. We had to select a location, construct the...
So, in other words, the Earth...
That's right. It wasn't a sign of another disaster to come.
Then, I can guess Nervilette and Cloran's parts. You gathered a crowd, prepared a stage, and made sure that the champion duelist would be all so that as soon as I appeared on the stage...
Yes, that is correct.
Well, Clorand, I must commend you for your courage. Only the most outstanding champion duelist in all of Fontaine...
Thank you.
As for you, Traveler, I suppose your role was to keep me distracted with You'd make sure that I didn't notice anything amiss before revealing yourself as my prosecutor once we... Oh? It's fine. The stage is already set, so there's no reason to disappoint the audience. Let's see this trial through to the very end.
Madam Prosecutor, please allow me to pass this along. This is a document that Miss Charlotte applied for and received permission to share with you during the trial. According to her, it should speak—
Huh? Charlotte wanted to give us something? Oh, so she's here too! Hey, Charlotte! Oh, let Paimon see. Wait, then that means— So in other words, we can refer to this— Let's quickly confirm the information in it. Just think of it as a refresher, alright?
You defeated the Hydro Archon in the very first duel you took part in. I didn't think this. The words of.
The prosecution and the defense are both in position. The trial shall now begin.
Oh, come on. Just fast forward to the part where the prosecution lays out my Of course, it is only natural for humans to struggle to understand the act.
That's true, but my charge here is unrelated to your conduct as an Archon. Instead, I would like to charge you as a fraud who's never been the Archon in the first—
Wait, what was that? Lady Farina's a fraud?
Hey, I came here thinking that we were going to try the Hydro Archon for forsaking her duty.
Charge accepted. Lady Farina, do you plead guilty to the charge? Lady Farina.
I plead not guilty. How can I be guilty? There is no way that I, Focalor, otherwise known as Farina de Fontaine, a member of the Seven and the Regina of all waters, kindreds, peoples, and laws of Fontaine.
Yeah. Even though Lady Farina can be rather eccentric, isn't it going too far to—
Yeah, I've never questioned her identity either. Sure.
I have cause to believe that common sense will prevail in this case. Many of the members of the audience have known me as the Hydro Archon. See? Even the Oratrice has decided to show me its favor. Are you sure you want to commit to a charge that, if you wish to drop the case, I can promise you as the God of Justice that you will not have to face trial for making a false accusation?
An argument with near impossible odds, huh?
Well, I tried to give you the chance to surrender. If you must persist, then let me ask. If you believe and if I was not the—
First of all, you may be a member of another long-lived—
Who gave you that idea? Was it the knave? You'd sink so low as to use a harbinger's words against me.
A curse? I once thought it possible that the aura of an Archon might naturally resemble a type of curse. But in light of this claim, perhaps what—
Neverlet sensed it too, huh?
Lady Farina is actually—
Well, it is true that it's extremely difficult.
Well, don't start celebrating too early now. Even if I have been carrying a curse like you said. Besides, everyone knows that the main difference between a human and a god is the possession of authority. Gods can do what humans cannot. That's why they're worshipped as gods. For centuries, manifestations of my authority have served the nation of Fontaine. One need only to turn their eyes towards the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinal in this very opera house, or consider the indemnitium that is used—
doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't think this clue can be used. You tried to reference the Oratrice, but weren't you—
Didn't I make myself clear at the time? The decisions of the
Lady Farina, I believe a reminder of your current circumstances is in order. While the court is in session, the principles of justice and the law, you will prove yourself unable to—
I never thought you'd use that kind of rhetoric.
That was no trick of rhetoric, Lady Farina. I've merely reiterated the rules of the court. Rules that all should respect and follow.
So, you neither knew why Child was declared guilty, nor did you understand the structure and operations of the Oratrice. Instead of having been created by you, the manifestations of authority you mentioned have been made by the real Hydro Archon, haven't they?
The real Hydro Archon? Well, now you're really losing me. It is true that I did not know why the Oratrice gave out a guilty verdict that day. But the Oratrice handed out that verdict unilaterally, and it has been operating independently ever since it was first created. You can't argue that just because a divine creation is flawed, that the god behind it must also be no god at all.
She's still throwing out all—
My pal—
If that poses a—
Aren't you the Hydro Archon? Or—
Indemnitium! Yes! It's all because of Indemnitium! All Archons derive their power from the faith of the people, and I've converted the people's faith in justice into Indemnitium! Thus did I give up all of my divine power—
Isn't that?
Yeah, no matter how...
It seems like nobody's buying Farina's excuse.
Hey, come now, everyone! Please don't stare at me as if I was a liar! I'm still the same Farina you knew, right? The one that you loved! Please, keep—
If what the prosecutor said is true...
Did she deceive all of us? Enough! That's enough! Tell me then, if you have no evidence—
Wow, she came up with yet another— that doesn't sound right. Paimon doesn't— It has been established that all Fontanians can—
Since you insist on claiming to be a god and not a human, then there's a method that you can use right—
Miss Navia, please apply to serve as a temporary attorney for the prosecution before addressing the court. Though you act in partnership with the prosecutor, you must—
Super sorry, Monsieur Chief. Now, I've brought some seawater from Poisson, including those of some of my— So, Miss Farina, would you dare to touch some of this seawater? If we are to believe that you are indeed the real Hydro Archon, touching this spot, if you don't dare to touch it, then we would have basically proved the reverse. Oh, and I must remind you, I do hope you'll act prudently and choose this—
Navia from the Spinadi—
If Lady Farina is indeed just a human, she's probably—
Lady Farina, this test has been unilaterally proposed by the prosecution. As it falls outside the realm of standard court proceedings—
Well, of course he had to tell her that. But refusing to participate is basically the same.
She's just staring at the water without saying a single word.
What's going on? Is she really planning to—
Due to the inherent risk of the test, Lady Farina, you may—
What?
Hey! I'm fine! Look at me, everyone! My hand is still here! Will you believe me now. I really am your Archon. I'm nothing like a normal human who would fall apart as soon as they touch this water.
Miss Siegewien? If you are present, Miss Siegewien, please come forward and attend to the defendant.
Siegewien?
Don't be nervous. It'll just take a few seconds. Let me see. That should be enough.
Please announce the results of your evaluation to the court, Miss Siegewien.
As everyone doubtlessly saw, Miss Farina was displaying symptoms of hyperventilation and flushed skin. She was experiencing the adverse effects of exposure to primordial seawater. The extent to which she was affected is the same as other humans when
Thank you, Miss Siegewien. Lady Farina, you may return to the defendant.
Oh, wait. What did she just say? I didn't get dissolved. Shouldn't that be enough to prove my innocence?
Well, considering your tendency to run from your problems, we did originally prepare a direct sample of the seawater around Poisson. However, after extensive discussion, we exchanged it for a sample that is not concentrated enough to dissolve an actual human. After all, we don't want anyone else to lose their life to the sea.
Yeah, so out of regard for Farina's life, you secured a low-concentration sample and asked the head nurse to serve as an expert. It's a great thing that the direct sample wasn't actually...
I can't believe... You... Listen to me, everyone. Please don't give me such cold and disdainful looks. Think about it. How can you conclusively prove that also, if I was really just a human? Please, anyone, just listen to me. I swear, I really am your Archon.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. The odds are just too stacked against her now.
With all the things that have been said, Paimon doesn't think there's any way left for Farina to win.
I believe the time for arguments and presentation of evidence has come to an end. If there are no objections, we will move on to the final judgment.
I don't think anything she says at this point will sway anyone. She's too stacked against her now.
In my capacity as Chief Justice, I shall now render judgment on Farina's misrepresentation of herself as the Archon of Fontaine. As a human who knowingly deceived her fellow citizens, Farina is... guilty. We shall now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale to render the final verdict on the charges. According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
Well, what's wrong? What's the Oratrice's verdict?
No, the Oratrice also displays a guilty verdict.
Isn't that correct then?
However, the exact wording of the verdict is thus. The Hydro Archon, guilty to be punished via the death sentence.
That's actually one of the available...
The one and only time that...
Farina's been sentenced...
This outcome is indeed quite... Is this sentence
Yeah! Even Vacher wasn't sentenced to death by the Oratrice. You know, know the real evil mastermind behind the serial disappearances case.
Indeed. Not only is Farina's sentence overly excessive, the very point of our trial today was also to but now, the Oratrice seems to have deliberately invoked the title of the Hydro Archon. What does this mean?
Excuse me, if I may interrupt. Is the trial still going?
Fremine! You finally made it. I assume this means you've completed your mission?
Mm-hmm. Any mission Father assigns to...
Is that the first prophecy slate? Huh. So the knave privately arranged for Fremine to try and find the missing slate.
I looked everywhere and finally found it at the... But has the trial already concluded?
Thank you for your hard work, Mr. Fremine. Please allow me to... Traveler, I believe that you have already seen the other existing slates, and would like you to come here and confirm their contents.
Huh? So what do you see? What is it?
I believe I've now made sense of the Hydro Archon's crime. It has to do with Fontaine's lost history.
Huh? Isn't the Hydro Archon just guilty of deceiving her? So when you say Hydro Archon...
In truth, everything that you've encountered in Fontaine up until this point can be traced back to the contents of these stone slates. However, I'm uncertain as to how...
Okay, let's try to recall the contents of the... The first stone slate describes what you just said. It seems to show the previous Hydro Archon using her divine power, and then the Oceanids turn into humans. Does that mean that Fontanians are transformed Oceanids? Oh, Paimon wasn't expecting that. But if Oceanids can turn into humans, then perhaps... The second stone slate shows Celestia floating in the sky, and the Hydro Archon and her people worshipping it together. But the heavens still brought judgment down. This must be the point when the Hydro Archon and the Fontanians were branded with their original sin. Does this mean that the original sin? The third slate shows the Hydro Archon seeking into the sea surrounded by many people. Huh. That reminds Paimon, didn't we also watch that? Well, the fourth slate is the prophecy the Fontanians have been talking about. People dissolving into the sea, the Hydro Archon crying on her throne, and so on. We didn't believe that such a crazy disaster could happen at first, did we? But after that incident, it was just a question of when and not if.
We know from the case of and the this.
quite right. That doesn't...
Perhaps what is about to take the and the It's not as simple when Navi the stone. The prophecy from the if we had
They'll dissolve into the primordial sea but won't cease to exist. Their essence will flow in the seawater, converge, and take the form of an oceanid. The Hydro Archon was sentenced to death in court, shocking everyone present. Perhaps this means that her sin... Navia fell into the water inside those ruins, and she nearly dissolved. She was surrounded by the people of Poisson in a court within her consciousness. The eruption of the primordial sea at the fortress of Meripede was the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass no matter what. The stone slate's contents can all be verified by recent events. If we combine what we know together, loads of truth should... Huh? Oh, Paimon gets it now! So that's how you can make sense of it! But then it feels like we're going to have to share.
Let's hear them.
Incredible. Linny, did you hear that?
We're not real humans.
All Fontanians were originally created by the late previous Hydro Archon, with Oceanids as their basis. The evidence for that can be found in how only Fontanians could dissolve in primordial seawater, and how all the girls Vacher dissolved were also turned into Oceanids. Oh, and according to Navia, when she was about to get dissolved, she also saw everyone gathered around for a trial, all of them in the shape of Oceanids.
Indeed.
Yeah, and it follows from the content of the first slate that she probably angered Celestia by creating humans without prior permission. That could also explain why the Oratries judged the Hydro Archon to be guilty. It's to account for that ancient sin.
The Hydro Archon's true sin was creating us?
And yet, after many hundreds of years, the Hydro Archon's creations have turned around to try to judge the Archon within the Opera Epiclese. The twists of history are often the most...
Yeah! Isn't the image here just like when Navia fell into the sea? So wouldn't it be trying to show the image of the Hydro Archon also falling into the sea once the prophecy has been fulfilled in the fourth slate? In the end, the people will all be dissolved into the waters, and only the Hydro Archon will remain weeping on her throne. all the sins of the people of Fontaine be washed away. Did Paimon get all that right?
You've made some keen deductions. I must say, given how much you still don't know, it is impressive that you've already managed to connect so many pieces of the truth. However, while you were able to decode all the information on the slates, they've also been etched with an additional layer of hidden information using a different... When we were at the ruins, I tried to decipher the hidden information recorded in the slates. But since we only had 3 slates at the time, I was unable to come to a full conclusion. Now that the slate collection is complete, I shall make another attempt to decipher the narrative recorded within. If everything goes well, we should finally be informed of the unadulterated...
Well?
I believe I should share this truth not only with you, but with all the people of Fontaine as well. I will try to briefly summarize it for you. Your hypotheses regarding the origin of Fontainians and the sin of the Hydro Archon were both correct. In the Fontaine of old, the previous Hydro Archon sensed the yearning of her Oceanid familiars for life on land. The Oceanids were enamored with the beauty and romanticism of human beings, and wishing to have those experiences for themselves, expressed to the Hydro Archon their desire to become of a similar kind. However, even though water as an element is intricately linked with the power of life, the Hydro Archon, as one of the 7, did not possess the authority to create not one to give in. She eventually found a way to create permanent humanoid bodies for her familiars by appropriating the power of this planet's primordial sea. She poured primordial seawater into the Oceanids' blood vessels, creating humanoid mimics in the process. But if Fontainians were to ever come into direct contact with water from the primordial sea, the power within their bodies would escape these artificial restraints and return to the sea. As a result, their forms would collapse, and they would be reverted to their original forms as Oceanids. Of course, the Hydro Archon never received permission from the heavenly principles to create a new human race. And thus, the Hydro Archon and all of her creations came to shoulder the original sin of appropriating the power of the primordial sea. That is the true history of how the people of Fontaine first came into being.
So we were all Oceanids before we turned into human beings?
That's way too much information for me. I think I'm just going to pretend that I never heard a single thing. Wait, but if that's the truth, we can't let the Hydro Archon be sentenced to death. After all, her only sin was creating us.
This really might be too much information for your regular Fontainian, but...
Alas, your hypothesis regarding the 3rd and 4th stone slates was inaccurate. The slates' respective positions are a key point of the visual on the 3rd slate is how all the individuals depicted in the water are humans rather than Oceanids. They have not been dissolved, which implies that the water depicted in this slate is not water from the primordial. The nation of Fontaine is the nation of Hydro, as well as the nation of trials and justice. Instead of being the literal element, the water in the scene symbolizes judgment and justice. You may also recall Navia's experience. When she fell into the sea, her consciousness was surrounded by that of many others who intended to hold a trial to determine her fate. Therefore, the meaning of the 3rd slate is that the people of Fontaine shall try the Hydro Archon. Yes, it refers to our present situation.
I think I'm following now. So, what you're saying is, even though we decided to put on this trial, in truth, everything we've done has happened exactly as the prophecy foretold. So now it...
What should we do?
Huh. No matter what, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
If that's the case, does that mean the scene in the 4th slate will also be fulfilled soon?
Traveler, I would like to point out another small fallacy in your deductions. About the 4th slate, you probably thought that the eruption of primordial seawater beneath the fortress of Meripede served as the surest sign that the prophecy was about to come to pass, yes? However,
I believe that rather than being a sure sign, that eruption could in fact only be a small warning of something far worse to come. As for the root cause of the catastrophe, I believe you've already encountered it once before. This eruption was just a small warning of the things to come. We must find the root cause of the disaster.
That doesn't sound...
It was both dream.
If we're talking about a true culprit, that could only be that thing and...
The truth, the original sin, the trial, and...
That was way too close! How did that thing just burst into the Opera House? Wait, was that the huge whale you saw in...
So we've met it at last. I understand very well why it has chosen to make an appearance here. That whale does not belong to Tevat. It is a monster that has traversed the stars, weeping all the while. It has been greedily consuming the energy from the planet's primordial sea, using it to grow. That is the main cause for the rising. And once it has finished consuming all of the energy contained...
You said that when the Hydro Archon first created Fontanians out of Oceanids, she filled their blood vessels with primordial seawater.
Precisely. That whale finds the blood of Fontanians nigh impossible to resist. Therefore, when it left the primordial sea, it decided to make its next stop a packed opera house full of food. Food in the form of Fontanians.
We just barely managed to push it back, right? In that case, won't it come back to target the people again once it's managed to recover its strength?
That is correct. Indeed, it is more accurate to say that we should thank that Harbinger for buying us some time. Without him, the whale would have likely come onto land far. From the way he looked, he must have been fighting the creature for quite a long time.
That battle maniac. We've always known that he had a special connection with that whale, but we definitely didn't expect it to help us out like this. Anyway, now that we know that this whale is the actual cause of the disaster...
It is too late. It had already absorbed too much of the primordial sea's energy before we could notice it. At this point, it is... Even if the entirety of Tevat were to be destroyed, it could still survive and swim off towards...
That's not something... We've already done everything we can, and we even found the true culprit. We've come so far. You can't just tell me that...
Indeed. That's not how a grand performance should end.
I'll fight it to the end. No matter what.
So the prophecy will be fulfilled no matter what, huh?
The prophecy. Yes, what has been prophesied will be fulfilled. Just as prophecies are usually only the future, ultimately, fate shall serve as your only guide, no matter what will happen in Tevat's future. All you need to do is to play your part.
What's happening with the aura trees?
I believe it is preparing to carry out the death sentence.
Furina!
No, I still need answers.
You...
Sorry. That shocked expression on your face is just too amusing. I couldn't help myself.
You are not Furina. Who are you?
Ah, the sweet sound of bewilderment. Marvelous. A sure sign that my attempt to deceive everyone was a resounding success. But to answer your question, I am Focalor. You know, the god.
Focalor? Why did you deceive us?
Oh, that wasn't my goal, of course. Goodness, no. But I had to fool everyone else too, if I was to stand any chance of deceiving the heavenly principles.
Deceiving the heavenly principles?
It's all because of that pernicious prophecy. Dreadful, wasn't it? Everyone doomed to dissolve. Fontaine condemned to be flooded. One was not amused. In fact, one was positively bemused when that problem was thrust upon me by my dearest predecessor. That's the former Hydro Archon Egeria for the uninitiated. It hardly gets more disastrous than a preordained national catastrophe, now does it? She knew full well that the prophecy would surely come to pass. And as one of the seven, she also knew full well that one defies the heavenly principles at one's peril. So yes, as you have no doubt surmised, it was a rather impossible situation that I found myself in. I spent a terribly long time mulling it over, alone on the ocean floor. And I was almost growing barnacles by the time I finally realized there was only one possible solution to this confounding conundrum. I had to outwit the heavenly principles, allow the prophecy to be fulfilled, ostensibly at least, while saving everyone at the same time. I'm a genius, I know. I can only assume that's why Egeria chose me as her successor. Although, looking back now, it was hardly the inheritance one dreams of. Between the task of saving the nation, the quotidian duties of the Hydro Archon, and not to mention the original sin of creating a new race of humans, I dare say she left me quite a colossal mess to clean up. But one can only play the hand one is dealt. I did not choose this, any more than I chose to be one of her Oceanid familiars.
So you were also once one of the Oceanids, transformed into a human by Egeria's hand?
Yes, I was. I always dreamed of becoming human. And I still do, even now. In my eyes, to be human is to be part of the greatest opera ever known. After becoming a god, I separated my divinity from my body and spirit, leaving behind only a self that was as naive and bewildered as my past self on her first day as a human being. The me you see before you now is that divinity. And the human counterpart I left behind, I named Farina. She could feel joy, sorrow, and everything in between. She could be as vain and conceited, or as meek and vulnerable as she wished. Her strengths were of a kind only a human could possess, as were her shortcomings. But in my eyes, Farina's humanity was what made her perfect. She was perfectly human in every way. The person I always wanted to be. Anyway, so then I cursed her. All part of the plan, of course. The plan to deceive the heavenly principles. Do you still remember the final scene of the prophecy? The Hydra Archon alone, weeping on her throne. In order that the prophecy might appear fulfilled, I invited Farina to be an actress, to play the part of the Hydro Archon in the prophecy. Under the curse I placed on her, so long as I, Focalor's divinity, continued to exist, she could not die. But nor was she free to live her life in the pursuit of happiness. Instead, she was forced to take the stage in the opera house, to embrace the role of leading lady, to forever play the part of the god from the prophecy, all to create a deceitful appearance of that prophecy coming to pass. I suppose now you probably understand why your court is called the Opera Epiclese.
But Farina is only human, isn't she? Even though she has had a long life, her mind is no stronger than that of any other ordinary human being. I cannot begin to fathom what she has had to endure. It must have been torture for her.
It has indeed. And although she is, in a sense, me in human form, I most definitely owe her an apology for it. It's been 500 years, and all along, she's been playing her part in the most unimaginably long, unbearably lonely, and agonizingly painful opera of all time.
I got a new letter from an informant. Looks like the situation has changed again. Good roll. Alright, maybe I'll take one more day off, and knock out the rest of the work once I'm feeling up to it. Navigating the world is a whole lot easier with a few different identities to choose from. Need me to come up with some for you? Good roll. Alright, maybe I'll take one more day off, and knock out the rest